welcome back. You're watching India Talks, and I'm your host, Sam ShivRaj. We have an amazing segment coming right up, and we also have a dance coming up after this. So if your friends are not watching, tell them to tune in at www.indiatalkstv.org. We are streaming live. And now, without further ado, let's give a big round of applause to our guest from SAMAR. Woo! Welcome. We have Rafiya Khan, Moazzam Khan, and Dr. Ron Jacobs. It's great to have you here. SAMAR, by the way, stands for South Asian Marrow Association of Recruiters. They recruit South Asian and minority donors to register and donate bone marrow. Organizations like, Be the Match and Gift of Life, they also have bone marrow registry. So how is SAMAR different? What is the South Asian part of this?
We were started because of the languages that we know and to outreach to the community because we have been pretty social since we have come here, and we know all the mandirs, the head of the mandirs, the churches, and many community organizations. So we had an inroad to people who we thought would definitely respond to our request of registration. And it was wonderful. The first drive that we did was at Thana, if you know the Telugu Association.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and that was 22 years ago. And I was so scared when I went to that drive. Is anybody even going to look at my booth? We didn't even have proper materials like banners or flyers, but we had a patient. And I was shocked. 225 people registered. That was amazing, It was just like a windfall.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
That is especially amazing because I think a lot of people don't even quite understand what this is. I don't think they understand what it is to register to donate bone marrow. Is that part of the problem?
That is correct. There wasn't enough awareness. And at that time, the minorities and the South Asians would get into the closet if they found that one of the family members had the disease. They didn't want to tell anybody because they thought, and there was one person who contacted us and said, could you please make some awareness that this is not contagious because my son's been diagnosed and my whole family has drifted apart. It was shocking,
I didn't realize that was one of the issues.
At that time, this is years ago.
Right.
And then, of course, we started, the media helped us, the TV stations helped us, and we started taking a panel there and explaining to the public that this is something very simple. And we South Asians are very giving. If there's anything, you'll go and help somebody. You'll donate even $5, whatever it is. But why aren't you giving when what you give, you live? See, that person has recovered. In an organ transplant, you give after somebody has died. So they don't know that, my organs have saved anybody.
I think you brought up a point that I honestly, it didn't hit me, but do you think that has changed now because of organizations like SAMAR, mostly SAMAR, because of the fact that you're not only providing awareness and not only providing literacy about this issue, about the disease, about the donation, but because it is united by culture, it is united by language, do you think that feeling of wanting to hide and feeling of wanting to cut yourself off is diminished? Do you think there's more solidarity now?
There is, because you see now we have publicized that every 4 minutes somebody is diagnosed with a disease that needs bone marrow transplant. You see, and that is what is a fear, and people are coming out because they feel if they come out, they can have more people to register, and there are better chances of finding a donor.
And how common is leukemia or other diseases that require bone marrow transplants?
There are about 100 different diseases that are cured with these. This is known as blood stem cell transplants.
Blood stem cell transplants.
Yes, and there are so many, as you must be reading, it's coming up that, these blood stem cells are going to reconstruct your heart. they're going to reconstruct your organs, they're good for Parkinson's disease. So a lot of research is being done, you know, and maybe, Ron, if you could address something that you know about the
Most
diseases.
definitely. My other question is, how likely or unlikely is it for a South Asian to find a match?
Well, like any other community, we are also scared, sorry, that if I come up with a match, what will happen to me? Will I have
That's
to
one
go
of the
through
fears.
major surgery with long side effects and things like this, you know? But that's not the case. I mean, this is the issue we have been grappling right from the beginning. When people come up with a match, you know, they shy away, they just back off, just because they're fearful.
And
they're
what would
apprehensive.
you say are the percentage of people who end up being a match and then, for some reason or another, don't end up donating?
The statistical number that we usually see is about 1 in 40 are actually called from the registry for the initial call.
Okay.
And after that, if everything works out with the blood work, then about 1 in 300 is called for further blood work and some physical exams, x-rays, things of that nature. And to ultimately donate, about 1 in 500 people within the registry are called for that.
And of this, where do South Asians fall? How likely is it for them to get a match? How difficult is it for them to find a match?
Well, it's a numbers game. The more volunteers you have of a specific race, the better the chance of the patient from that getting, because race plays a very important, very critical role here.
Really? Okay.
Yes, race is very important. Now, we, the South Asians, although we are very generous, very giving and things like this, you know, when it comes to marrow donation, see, somehow we shy away from there because of the fear. There's fear of donation, of donating marrow or stem cells, but there's nothing to it. That's what we are working right now on, to dispel this fear, to make them understand that there's nothing to it. As he will tell you now, he has just become a donor.
Let's give him a round of applause.
A marrow donor. No, not a marrow donor, but stem cell marrows that he has donated recently. Now, many donors that we have had, if you ask them, we've got quite a few in New Jersey area, they will all say that after donation, I feel I'm a complete person. It is so emotionally fulfilling for me that I have saved somebody else's life. I'd never done that before. I was very good at my business and I was making lots of money, but I never saved a fellow person who is in such a dire situation of.
And what I love about this is that I think one of the, my understanding or my view of it is that there's a fear of, like you said, of what's going to happen to me if I donate. And I think there's also this lack of understanding as to how someone registers. How easy is it to register?
Well, registration is the easiest part of it. You see,
Right.
It has two aspects, the donor program, recruitment and retention.
Right.
See, we call retention those who respond positively, we call it retention. Recruitment is so easy these days. You know, in the past we used to take 2 vials of blood.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we used to take 2 vials of blood.
And all
now,
it took was one swab 2 years ago
and now,
for me.
We just do. They have to do some paperwork, and after that they give us cheek sample swabs, you know, because there are DNA cells in your cheek, you know, we want those
Right.
cells to do a test on that. So it's that easy.
It really was. I did this, there was a drive, not SAMAR's drive, but there was another, I think it was Be the Match, that was at my school, and you know, quite a few people stopped by, and I was wondering what it was, and I went and I stopped by, and the guy asked if I wanted to register to donate bone marrow, and it was my 19th or 20th, one of those birthdays, and I thought, that's nice. And then I told him, well, actually, I have class in 25 minutes. Can I come back? And then he said, well, you don't have to. You can just sit down, do this in 2 minutes, and you're good to go. And true to his word, it literally took me 2 minutes. All I did was I filled out a few papers,
Yes.
and I swabbed my cheek, and I still made it to class on time. That's literally how simple the process is, and I don't think everyone realizes that, especially not South Asians.
Because it's so simple and so easy, there's a downside to it. When they come up with a match, now it's the time of, it's a day of reckoning and
Right,
a moment
day
of
of
truth.
reckoning.
Yes, moment of truth. They don't want to do it because they say, oh my God, it was so easy to register, and now I have to donate my marrow or stem cells to the patient, That's what we are trying to educate people now. Programs like you when go to the community and tell them, well, there's nothing to it.
So
there's nothing to it.
I want to hear from Dr. Jacobs, our donor. Is there really nothing to it?
The procedure that I went through is called PBSC, peripheral stem cell donation. And 75% of the time, that's what they do now.
75%? I didn't know that.
The old method is only done 25% of the time now. So PBSC simply means that they extract the stem cells that are in your bloodstream. The process is actually pretty easy. You take a medication for 5 days. It convinces and tells your body to create more of those stem cells.
Okay.
You go to a lab on the 5th day, and blood is drawn from your body into a machine that collects just those stem cells, and the remaining blood part is sent back into your other arm. Done.
Really?
That's
So
it.
it's not even like blood donation where, you hear about people who suddenly got lightheaded and passed out.
No.
Not really. Wow.
You just sit there. I mean, it takes a few hours, but you just sit there. My wife was with me. We watched a couple of movies. We watched TV. Hung
That's a
out.
nice
there too
excuse.
We caught up. Yep. Mr. and Mrs. Khan came, took
team
a
was
couple
there.
of pictures.
Our whole team was there.
Goodness. You had a nice little picnic
It
there.
was a nice little party.
Yes, we
Yeah, nice little
did.
party.
And all that, and you saved someone's life. It's amazing how simple that is. And what can a donor expect? Are there any side effects? Is there anything scary?
Sure. When I was on the other end, educating and telling people about it, the things that people would often ask about is the medication and the side effects. And I'd often tell them the most common side effect is some body aches and pains, soreness, that kind of.
Which you'll have after a long day at work.
Sure. You go running, take a jog, go to
Yeah.
the gym, you'll be sore. It's similar to that. I would say I started experiencing the body aches and pains around the third day, third and fourth day. Is nothing that some painkillers, over-the-counter painkillers, can't take
Right.
care of.
And did you go back to work the very next day?
Mr. and Mrs. Khan were kind enough to give me the day off.
Oh,
so
wow,
I
look
stayed
at
home.
that.
Day off.
And
But
it's-
he came. While he was taking that medication, he came to work.
Oh, okay. I thought you took your day off and went to work anyway. Goodness.
While on the meds, I did go to work. I was in work. The next day, I just had the day off. I stayed home. I think more than anything, you feel lethargic, kind of fatigued. So just to regain some of your strength. And then I was back at work in the second day.
But you can go back to your life right after giving someone else their
course.
life, and I think that's absolutely beautiful. So we only have about a minute left, so can you tell us really quickly, any one of you, do you have any bone marrow drives coming up?
Yes, we do. On Monday, we have a drive at Rutgers University in New Brunswick. Tuesday, we have a drive at Baruch
Baruch
University.
College,
Baruch,
woo!
yay. And Wednesday, we have a drive at Rutgers in Newark as well. So this week, we have 3
Saturday.
drives. And tomorrow, we actually have a drive at St. John's
St.
University, a health fair.
Really? And
Yes.
the drive at St. John's, can anyone go?
Anybody can
Anyone
come.
can go.
11 to 4
Okay.
on Saturday.
And where can our viewers get some of this information or any information about future drives at SAMAR?
www.samarinfo.org.
And
Thank
our drive
you.
calendar.
And you'll see the calendar there.
And there's a drive calendar there
Yes,
so
we
that
have
you
a
can
drive
plan your
calendar.
weekend
Can
around
I
it.
make just one more
Yes.
point? Now, our donors who are being recruited here are matching patients in India.
Oh,
And
wow.
Yes.
Exactly. They are matching patients in India.
That's
Transplants
amazing.
are taking place and their lives are being saved there.
That's beautiful.
We have
and
had 6 that have gone there.
Six?
6 so far.
Yes.
Oh
Because
my
started
gosh,
recently,
nice.
yes.
That's amazing. Let's give them
It's
a round of applause.
wonderful.
So if you want to be a part of this, you can visit them at St. John's tomorrow, or you can go on samarinfo.org and find out when they're having other blood drives, bone marrow drives, sorry. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Give them another round of applause.
Ew.